Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Griego here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and today we're going to discuss Superhot, the shooter and experience ASCII simulator that came out in 2016. So this is a game that I've had in my Steam library for forever. I think they give it out with every Humble Bundle at this point. So it was finally time to check it out. We shot some red people, and that's all there is to it. And I am joined, as always, by Pete Busby. Hello, Pete.
Hey, what's going on? It's been a while, I think, since we played an FPS. So, nice to get back on the train, I guess. Our fun fact for this week is a case of incredible metaphors run amok, I would say. So this comes from an article by the Royal Society of somebody and something. You should look that up. But the title is Acoustic Coordination by Allied Male Dolphins in a Cooperative Context. So not that exciting of a title, but here is what the Smithsonian Magazine titled their article on the same research report. Dolphin boy bands sing pop songs in sync, and the ladies want it that way. Apparently, dolphins, can coordinate their songs to attract mates, and the lady dolphins like it better when they sing that way. So I don't know if they necessarily are pop bands, but that's the metaphor we went with, and I think that's a great choice.
That's amazing. Wait, do we have... Oh, man, now I just want there to be some sort of group that goes out into the oceans and finds the most successful dolphin quartets. Like, are there certain configurations that are best? Like, is it duets, trios, four? Do we get a full, is it BTS?
Gino, I would
love,
it is. I would love to tell you, but like all good scientific research, I think this one is behind a paywall.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Like, is there always one that's the bad boy, one that's, got a really good falsetto, one of them who's just there to dance?
I will say, I will give this a caveat as well. The research was published on April 1st, 2020, which made me very afraid, but I found other corroborating sources that were not published on April Fool's Day. So I think we're okay.
I mean, it makes sense. Dolphins are one of the smartest animals on the planet, and
we love to sing.
Of course, an incredibly wise animal would have convergent evolution on boy bands. All paths lead to boy bands. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Pete. This is great to know.
Sometimes the fun facts actually are fun. Not often, but sometimes.
Mostly horrifying. This time fun.
Yep.
And we are joined, as always, by M. Palladino as well. Hello, M.
Hello. Just want to start by saying Superhot is the most innovative shooter I've played in years. But beyond that, if you've watched Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beasts on Netflix, there is a Narwhal boy band who are like Korean pop stars. I have to wonder if they saw this research when they were making that show, because it doesn't make much sense out of context.
To be fair, many of the things that are in Kipo and the Age of the
That's
Wonder
true.
Beasts don't make sense out of context. I mean, there's a civilization of lumberjack cats. There are punk rock snakes that play instruments despite not having hands. There's a lot of stuff in that show.
Snake could probably play a theremin.
Snake could probably play a lot of things, but guitar is not one of them. Or drums. I don't think they'd be good at drums, but that's kind of what they do, if I remember correctly from that segment of the show.
I don't know. I mean, rattlesnakes are natural percussionists.
They are, but it's holding multiple drumsticks that I think is the problem. I guess you could have one in your mouth and one in your tail. We're not going to figure this out. So before we get into Superhot, we've got a few bits of housekeeping to go over. First off, as always, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com, or deeplistenspod@gmail.com. That is our email address. We did also get our novelty URL, which I believe was questions@deep.lol, which I believe now redirects to our email. So you can use stuff like that too. You can also now find our webpage at deep.lol if that's where you want to find our podcast feed. We also have our Patreon, patreon.com/deeplistens. If you subscribe, you'll get access to our Discord and get inside information on upcoming events, upcoming things that we're doing, upcoming podcasts. You can talk with the hosts of now both shows, the main show and also Off the Deep End, our spin-off show where three lunatics play the RPGs that we refuse to cover on this show, like, say, for example, Xenosaga or Ultima.
How did that end up, by the way? Did they suffer through it?
They played a lot of Xenosaga. I don't know how much Xenosaga. It sounds like they're still playing Xenosaga. I don't know if it's Xenosaga 2, whatever the heck the sequel to Xenosaga's name is, or if it's just more Xenosaga 1, because that game seems unending. But yeah, they're continuing to play stuff like that. So we don't have to. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff Rude. Thank you, Chris Zombie Pie Redacted. And thank you, Braden Arbitrary Water Redacted, for taking those bullets so we don't have to.
And we're sorry.
Also, we're sorry. So with mention of the Discord, we have to go to the Discord report.
The Discord report. This week on the Discord report, you guys are still doing your lead up to the GBC playing Final Fantasy II, and it sounds like it's going miserably.
Yeah, so the Giant Bomb Community Endurance Run is rapidly approaching. We've been discussing a series of events that are coming up, so this is going to be running from April 9th to April 11th. We'll be raising money for Pencils of Promise once again, the charity that builds schools, trains teachers, and sends kids to school in developing nations. And we will be having a series of events as per usual. In the last podcast, I know we mentioned some of the things that we're doing. So for the last few weeks, ZP and I have both been streaming some Final Fantasy II Nuzlocke practice runs. And let me tell you, that game is fucking miserable to play. It relies on a just sheer amount of luck or patience for grinding. We've set ourselves a timer of, I believe, 10 hours to do this run to see how far we can get in this game. And if you want to properly prepare for like the first level or like the first dungeons, it can take 2 to 3 hours of grinding. So I think there's just going to be a lot of deciding between making progress that will almost certainly be unsustainable, but maybe you can get further across the finish line, versus preparing adequately to actually try to beat the game. So that's been ongoing, and we've been discussing that in the Discord. There's also been a lot of Final Fantasy trading card game Opus 13 discussion, because that has been coming up. But also, M, you've been discussing something, I believe.
I have?
The Snyder Cut.
Oh, yes, of course. That was on my list today.
I'm 20 minutes in, only 30 more hours to go.
Yeah, right. I watched the Snyder Cut, so you don't have to. We are not going to do a show about it because...
Fuck no. I won't watch it.
No. Honestly, altogether, it's not bad. It could have been worse. I didn't watch the first one, like the first iteration of this movie, so I cannot compare it to what it was before. But this one just takes fucking forever. And if you want a full rundown of vaguely spoiler implications on my Twitter feed, I put a whole thread, which is like 40 tweets long.
And if people aren't following you on Twitter, what is your handle?
At GameMakerM, the letter M. Check it out. You know, I just want to talk about this one
Just go ahead.
aspect.
Yeah.
Go for it.
There's like 30 minutes left to the movie when the like whole plot of the movie is resolved.
That's a lot left.
Okay, what's going to happen now? And so we get a contextless alternate timeline Batman talking to the Joker where they're like in this destroyed city. It's implied that Superman lost his mind and blew up the world because Lois Lane died.
Yep, that's a plot line.
What a simp.
That keeps coming up. But we don't talk about that. It's basically just Batman and the Joker kind of talking around each other. And also the Joker was not in this movie at all for the first 3 hours. 3.5 hours. Yes. He's garbage.
Can't they just like hologram Heath Ledger or something?
Yeah, right. We're going to bring Heath Ledger back from the dead and get him to replace Jared Leto. Because he's just like gross as far as Jokers go. He doesn't look good in the role, and this scene goes on for like 15 minutes, by the way. And there are other heroes in this, like, I guess they're roaming around sort of trying to save the world from Superman, and they don't talk for like 15 minutes while these two are going back and forth. So that was wild. Other than that, I don't know, it's fine. There's like a lot of singing.
Yeah,
parts.
I've enjoyed the Icelandic
right?
folk singing
that
so far.
Was so strange. No explanation. Aquaman shows up and then he goes into the water because that's what he does. And then like Batman watches as some Icelandic folk singers just start singing for like
and
5 minutes.
Sniffing Aquaman's clothing.
Yeah,
Just
it's real weird.
Wait, these are real things that happen in that film?
These are real things that happen in that film.
Multiple minutes.
Yeah. Also, every time that Wonder Woman does anything, there's this. I watch with the subtitles on just so I can process.
All the majesty?
Yeah, right. And every single time Wonder Woman does anything, there's this like ancient lamentation music playing, is what the subtitles say.
Yep.
Every single fucking time. If the subtitles didn't pop up, I wouldn't think about it, but they did, and it exemplifies that it happened every single time she did literally anything. Also, Barry Allen, he talks too much. Anyway.
I mean, isn't that one of his character traits?
Yes, but this is Ezra Miller, who I'm not a huge fan of, so it's extra, like, grating.
I see.
But other than that...
That sounds ponderous and unnecessary. Thank you for watching it so we don't have to.
No problem.
I watched West Side Story last week.
The original?
Ooh, Sharks and Jets.
That movie's 3 hours long. Did I waste more time watching the 3-hour-long West Side Story? Well, there's a literal intermission, and there's also an orchestral opening that's 5 minutes long. So if you cut out those two intermissions, it's only a stately 2 hours and 50 minutes.
I see. I mean, that's a classic. I don't think this is going to be a classic.
No, it's not. Would you be a shark or a jet, Gino?
I mean, isn't that just a question of whether I'm white or Puerto Rican?
I forget. It's been so long. I forget what the racial politics are now that I've asked it. I'll disregard that question.
I mean, I'm tanner than the Irish gang, but I'm also lighter than the Puerto Rican gang, so I'd probably not fit in either gang. Don't speak Spanish.
We should just pick a gang from the Warriors instead. That's a much more fun question.
You know what? I've honestly never seen the Warriors except the basketball team.
Clearly, we are the Italian mafia that is not on screen for any of this movie.
I think that the Sharks are the white gang, if I remember correctly, and they are Irish and Italian, so I think I'd be a shark because that's how that works, because it's just racial stuff. Okay, well...
What a heartwarming love story.
That movie's fucking terrible, let me tell you. You know, Em, when you said that there was a lot of singing in the Snyder Cut, I was thinking that the heroes sang, like it was a musical, and I was like, this West Side Story transition's going to work way better than I thought.
Maybe that would be like, you know, if Aquaman, Jason Momoa, like serenaded us for like 5 minutes, I wouldn't mind that. It's the fact that it was just random Icelandic women. Also, Superman fights a bunch of the heroes with his shirt off. Henry Cavill looks good. Just saying.
He does.
Yeah.
This is very true.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
So does Jason Momoa.
Yep.
Look, I mean, that film assembled mostly handsome people and Ben Affleck. And that's...
Ben Affleck is strangely wide.
Is the workout scene still in there?
I don't think so.
He like flips tires and like pulls rope or some shit.
I didn't watch the first one, so I couldn't say what is in or out.
Maybe I'm thinking of Batman versus Superman. I forget when Ben Affleck works out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Batman still use guns in this film?
He has a like Batmobile situation that's like a walker thing, which is very strange, by the way. I don't understand why they decided to do that, which has like a fucking minigun attached to it. And then later he like commandeers one of the enemy's big turret things and he's just fucking blowing shit up. No like submachine gun or anything. Mostly larger guns.
Okay. But he is shooting people.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, I don't think... Did I say that I've been watching Seinfeld on the last podcast? Or did I skip over that?
How's that?
That was going to be my obsession. I've been watching Seinfeld for the first time.
Good show. Does it age well?
It does, mostly.
Okay.
Most of it ages well. There was one episode where suicide was like the theme, and they were like, "This is hilarious." That one wasn't so great. There was one episode, one of Elaine's friends was bulimic, and that was a punchline, and that didn't age super great. And then there was one scene where George and Jerry and them burned down one of George's girlfriend's parents' cabin, and it turns out that her dad was closeted or bi and had love letters to a male lover that he had growing up, and that's why he was super attached to this cabin that got burned down. And then that's a punchline. Like, he gets the letters, and then there's a studio audience laughter as he, like, storms off.
Hilarious.
I'm like, ha ha, he loved a man, ha 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 ha. So, like, that, those bits don't hold up, but, like, most of the rest of the show holds up very well. They're just terrible people being terrible. Like, George slipping his old boss a Mickey as revenge for being fired or not being allowed to be rehired, it was, like, preposterous. But having that be a recurring thing that the characters refer to, like, yeah, George, I mean, he did try to poison his old boss, but he's fine. You should date him. It's a good show. It's still well written for the most part. Jerry's still the least funny part of the show, which I think is pretty good. And his monologues are bad.
How many episodes have you watched at this point?
Season 3 out of, I think, 7.
Godspeed.
The first season's really short, though. It's only like 6 episodes or something. So, yeah, it's... they started adding more plot in season 3 to episodes and between episodes, and I don't like that. I liked it when they were one-off. Like, the Chinese restaurant is perfect. The episode where they're lost looking for their car in the parking lot is perfect. The self-contained bottle episodes are the best Seinfeld episodes, I think. But we'll see. Still early on. Maybe another one will be great. I haven't gotten up to the contest yet, and I know that that's a standout episode, and George's parents haven't even been introduced yet. So I've got stuff to look forward to. All right, without further ado, let's discuss Superhot. Now, I picked Superhot, and rare occasion, I'm going to say what Superhot is.
Hoo-hoo.
Superhot is a first-person shooter that moves when you do. So you are in a virtual space where you shoot at red enemies that are running at you, either with guns or swords or their fists. Bullet rules basically are that if you hit someone with a bullet, they're dead, kind of regardless of where you shoot them. If you punch or use a melee weapon, you have to hit people multiple times. You can also throw objects at opponents to disarm them and injure them but not kill them, except if you throw a katana. That will kill. And then you're basically just running through these kind of abstract spaces, dodging bullets because they only move when you move, and taking out these red enemies. And there's kind of a framing device where you are sitting down at a computer logging into this game called Superhot. The game was originally released in 2016, though it started development in 2013. It was kickstarted in 2014. The original Kickstarter goal was $100,000, which seems very low, and they ended up raising $250,000, which still seems low depending on how many team members were on this team. And it released for PC, Mac, and Linux. And then it came out for the Xbox One in 2016. So, and the developer was the Superhot team, which is very appropriate. So when you first boot up Superhot, you are basically thrown into a desktop of some sort of fake operating system. Did you find this disorienting? What did this do for you as someone else who's used the command line before?
I was not expecting this because when I think of Superhot, I just picture the white spaces and the red guys shooting at you. And so I poked around in this command line thing. It's got a lot of stuff to it. There's various extra things that are beyond the like superhot.exe that you are supposed to click on to get to the game. One of the first things I did actually was go into like the chat room, which is like a simulated people talking about Superhot. Seems like it's all scripted, just like giving you some extra stuff for like the camera controls when you get into all that. I didn't do any of the did you do any like the social media replay editor garbage? Because there's a whole, I don't know, there's a whole system for that if you wanted to like post your really cool runs, I guess, which seems appropriate given the meta narrative that we're going to get into in a bit. But yeah, there's like, you can watch like sand falling, like these little animations that are procedurally generated. I was not expecting any of that to be in this game. So cool, I guess.
Yeah, there's like a lumberjack mini game you can play.
Oh yeah. Did you do that?
I played a little bit.
What's your high score?
Not high. 6.
Okay.
7, I think. It was a very low score.
Yeah.
There's like a fire.exe. There's something that makes rug patterns. It's very weird. And there's also videos, too, that you can watch. I think you unlock them the further you get in the game. There was one that was like a trailer for a game, and it was just a guy, like, screaming.
Oh, yeah. That was fucking weird.
Yeah. It's like it's the new game of the century, and then there's just a person holding their head, screaming and writhing. They're like, this game is great. It's super fun. And I feel like that's kind of the aesthetic of Superhot.
Yeah, it's really like, it feels like almost one of those creepypastas where it's like, this game is going to drive you insane, but kind of like, it was like the visual novel.
Doki Doki Literature Club?
Yeah. I never played it because I was like,
Ooh.
I'm not about this.
That was a Game of the Year contender a few years ago.
Yeah.
Good.
It's really good. I mean, messed up, but really good.
Yeah, I mean, once you know the secret, it kind of takes its teeth out of it a little bit. But I was not expecting it from this at all.
Takes some of the teeth. There's still plenty of teeth, though, in that game.
That's fair. Yeah, so as soon as I started delving into these, like, extra videos, it's really unsettling. How'd you feel looking through all that?
I found that most of the stuff on the desktop was pretty perfunctory. Like, I didn't get too much out of it. Seeing, like, the little animations. The videos I found, I mean, that video specifically with the person screaming, like, that was unsettling, but by that point I had gotten far enough in the game to see that that's where they were going with the game narrative, so it didn't unsettle me any more than the regular narrative did. I found that it was a lot of effort to build an aesthetic in a game that's very short, so it didn't really wash over me that, it didn't give me enough time to marinate in this world and take this as anything more than a cool boot menu, basically, for the main game. Pete, did you have any different experience?
No, I mean, I didn't get too much out of it, but as somebody who's, copied and pasted some things in HTML before, I mostly just waited for the command line to go away so my teeth would stop grinding. I wouldn't really call me the target demographic there.
Yeah. I mean, then, like, the game kind of starts off with you in a chat room. You can't actually type anything. Like, you just touch your keyboard and it'll fill out the words that the game's supposed to make the story go. You get this file called superhot.exe. When you boot it up, it's the game that most people have seen. You're in a white space, red guys are coming at you. What did you think of the central mechanic, like actually playing Superhot, Pete?
Yeah, it's a nice change. I'm generally not like a fast twitch first-person shooter kind of person. Like, I'm not very good at lining up my crosshairs, so it was nice to get a different feel for things. I will say, I think the strategic implications are a little bit overstated. Like, it's not as if you're planning, like, chess moves in advance or anything. But it is a nice twist, and it definitely lasts for the amount of game you're playing, I would say.
Yeah, I would say it's a different pace. It's a much different pace. You can, I guess, play it like a regular shooter and run around. It's harder if you do that. But this game, instead of incentivizing you to just get really good at fast twitch, there's a lot more planning out where you need to put the bullet so that by the time the bullet reaches the target will be in the path of the bullet. Because none of the weapons in this game are hit scan, meaning, it doesn't just shoot out a ray that moves instantaneously. The bullets are physical, they are in space, and they move, even when you're moving at full speed, they don't move that fast relative to what you would expect a bullet to move. So because of those elements of the game, it just leads to a very different feel of the shooting and the punching and, your melee weapons.
I will say, too, there's something very annoying, at least to me personally, about the emphasis on throwing empty guns at your opponents. Like, I ran out of bullets. This piece of iron is useless now, and you just throw it at somebody's head. That's always bothered me as an action movie trope.
Did you appreciate when your character threw their gun at the end of every level?
No, it's annoying. It's a perfectly good gun. Keep it. Reload it. That's what bullets are for.
No, it's trash.
It's about the fast, this one's useless, I'm just going to pick up another one as soon as I get, I'm going to punch this guy, he's going to fling his gun at me, I'm going to grab it in the air, and I'm going to shoot the guy with it.
That's the other thing. They always very stylish. Like, it's very cool when you punch somebody and grab their gun out of the air, but it's a completely ridiculous scenario.
I like that no matter how far away I am when I throw the gun at them, the gun will get almost halfway to me in the air, and it always flies in my direction. It's great. I will say, like, because of the lag between when you shoot a bullet and when you're able to shoot again, it kind of puts this deliberate timing pressure in there that makes you want to kind of use a gun once and replace it. Because you basically have to expend a certain amount of real-world time before you can fire a weapon again or use a weapon again. So, like, once you fire that shot off, you're going to have to find something to do for, a few seconds till you can actually take another action, which is kind of where a lot of the tension comes from. Like, you fire a bullet, you shoot one person, and now you've got to dance around these bullets or find a place to hide and, like, wiggle around, because time only moves when you move, so that you're safe until you can use your weapon again. And I thought that was cool. Like, when you pull the trigger, it will advance time pretty rapidly for a second, and then you kind of have to buy yourself more time or throw a gun at someone and snatch their gun out of the air. Then you get to do a new action pretty quickly. Like, throwing weapons is almost always instantaneous, whereas shooting bullets or using a melee weapon a second time, those tend to have a cooldown of some kind. Em, what did you think of this kind of more deliberate pace of a shooter?
I mean, I like it better than most common shooters, because that's not usually my game of choice, I'll say. Although I thought that this was a braid situation where when you move forward, time moves forward, and then you can move backward and time will reverse when I had not played the game.
Oh, okay.
So I was a little like disappointed that it wasn't like some time travel nonsense, but I like it as a sort of strategic first person shooter. And then when you see it all in like real time, once you finish the level, it feels very like action movie scripted, unless I did something really stupid, like, stand against a wall, backing up to let enemies come towards me, which I did a few times, particularly in the hallway level.
Very powerful.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta like move and not move. So I don't know. The katana was my weapon of choice most of the time. If I could find one, I was trying to use that. I was really trying to get there's an achievement where you spear two guys with a thrown katana.
Ooh, I got that one.
I kept trying to get it, and I could never quite hit both of them in one throw.
Shish kebab.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the fact that the katana can cut bullets in half out of mid.
Oh, yeah. That was sick. There's another achievement where you fire a bullet and it hits a bullet, which I just did by accident once. I was like, oh, shit. And then the achievement popped up. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's just cool action movie shit.
Yeah, so were there any levels that stood out to you as especially good or especially bad when you were going through them? And I know that we won't know necessarily all the level names, but if you could describe a scenario, I think we'll get the vibe.
I liked the subway level. That's probably like the only one I can even remember offhand. The subway level, and there's like a boardroom level.
Oh, yeah.
The skyscraper. Those are probably the two that I remember the best. They were good. Anytime you have like, you want these like confined spaces, like where you can see a lot of people at once, seems to be, my bag.
Yeah, I really enjoyed, there was a level where you start in front of a payphone and you can rip the payphone, like the phone part off of the box and throw it at someone. And then you go into I think it's a bar, and there's a bartender behind the bar with a shotgun.
With the billiard balls too.
Yeah, billiards to throw at him. Like, those were super cool. Like, once you take out the person behind the bar, then people spawn on the other side of the bar. Is there an ability to crouch in this game? Because I did not find it.
You can jump. I think that's it.
Yeah, you can go up, but you can't go down, which was something that I found a little annoying. I guess I get it, because if you were able to duck, like, your ability to weave between bullets would be much easier than it is right now. I mean, it's pretty easy given how the game plays currently, but if you could duck, it'd be even easier. And what about you?
The level that I liked the most probably was that hallway, honestly, where it's just like enemies charging at you from both sides, and then there's like sculptures around that you can throw at them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was sick.
That's the first level with a katana in it.
Yeah, and I picked up that katana, and I was like, I'm using this for the rest of the game, if I can find one. And then there was another level where there was like a truck coming at you when you spawned in.
Yeah, and you have to jump.
Yeah, I did not like that as much.
What?
Just because
there's a truck, though.
That truck fucked me up so many times. Because I was like trying to jump away from it, and then it would just run me over. And then once you get past that, guys jump out, and then it's just a normal level.
Yeah, I mean, my least favorite was probably there's a level where you start on top of a train, and there's a gun flying at you, and then there's a entrance to a tunnel, and so you have to very quickly run forward, grab the gun if you can, don't get hit by the top of the tunnel, and then you get shot at by three guys with guns, It's towards the end of the game, and I just found that one, like the getting to the part where you're actually playing the level was very finicky because you couldn't really stop to grab the shotgun out of midair and make it to the end of the train so that you didn't get squished. So I just had to replay that level a ton of times just to be able to get a weapon and start the level without getting squashed. So as the game proceeds, it starts out kind of with you playing a game. Your friend gives you this exe file. It eventually crashes. Your friend gives you an upgraded version of the exe file that crashes less, apparently. But as you keep playing, the game gets more sinister, I would say. What was the moment at which you thought that something was amiss?
For me, it probably started in the chat room. So like there's a moment where you're trying to still chat with your buddy, and every time you type something, well, you don't type anything, but every time the character inputs, a string of words, sentences, the things we use to speak, it just overwrites it. So whoever this ghost in the machine is sending different messages through the chat room to your buddy than the ones you're typing.
Yeah, that was messed up. For me, I think when there's a level, after you've played through a level, you end up in a cell, and
that is spooky.
The game tells you, like, run, stop, look up, look down, and then at the end of it, it's like, good dog. And then I think there are enemies that spawn at the top of the cell, and they start shooting at you, and the game says, die. It's like, oh no, this isn't good. And what about you?
Yeah, it was that cell was going to be mine. Also, when they show you the person who is supposed to be you with a VR headset on, I don't know if I made the connection right off the bat or if it told me, like, when you went to that chat, they were like, why are you looking at me, the character you're playing as? It went off the rails pretty abruptly after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just once you start to unravel it, you give yourself a head injury towards the end there.
Yeah, the game makes you find yourself in the real world, basically, in this virtual space, and then you punch yourself in the head, and then your character, like, pulls out of the game because they have a head injury.
Does it auto-close the game after that?
No, they make you quit the game at some point after that, I think. Which, like, it actually closes the game. It's not the game within the game. Like, it makes you close the actual program and then re-enter it. And at one point, this voice in the machine tells you, like, what you're Superhot. Oh, it's just killing red guys, huh? Is it? You don't even know what you're messing with.
It gets very defensive all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You also, so you get a power later on in the game, too, which is relevant to the thematics, where eventually you can jump into other red guys. So, like, if you're about to die, you can't escape these bullets. You can basically port your consciousness in a different red guy, which will be relevant later on.
Yeah, so that's basically, at a certain point, the game tells you, like, quit, stop playing this game. If you keep playing it, eventually it's like, oh, you want to play? What if you could play forever? And once you do that, you get a sequence where, like, it looks weird and choppy, and you're running through dark spaces, and you can't really tell where you're going. It's like you're trapped in the flesh. You must find a way, and then the game makes you repeat these phrases by clicking. The phrases are, minds are software, bodies are disposable, the system will set you free. And you have to kind of keep repeating this chant over and over and over again.
It gets very sort of like Neuromancer, Console Cowboy, like jacking into the cybersphere.
Yes, it's real Matrixy. It's, all of that sort of stuff. And once you've completed this chant enough times, when you re-enter the world, you have the ability to jump into enemies. And this voice that's talking to you says, like, okay, now we'll use you. Now you are, our tool. And from that point on, they stop yelling at you and treating you like shit, I guess. But you're clearly like, is it implied that these red people are real people, or you're doing something for an evil hacker organization? Like, we don't get that, right?
No. My assumption was you're some sort of digital assassin that they're sending out on assignments.
I got that sense too. It seems as though all the other red guys were other players, because in the chat room it says something to the effect of sometimes it will pair you with other players and you won't know who is real and who isn't. So I don't think they're actually doing that. I don't think there's a server out there somewhere.
Oh, no. It's not an actual other human. No.
Yes, but I think they wanted to imply that. I think it would be cool if they did a multiplayer version where they didn't tell you who the other players were, but I don't want to give them any ideas.
No, that'd be tough too with the different time stops.
True.
Maybe they could do it.
I don't know.
I feel like it would be a real bummer if you were a red guy and you did not have control of time.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, it seems to be that it's a case of if you die in the game, you die in real life. And your character eventually, you have to get to a obelisk or monolith, some sort of big triangle that you have to jack into. And that's kind of the last sequence. You're fighting enemies. They're trying to stop you from taking over this giant pyramid. And once you take it over, you can just jump into the minds of all of the red guys and blow them up. After which the voice in your head says, okay, now for the last step, would you like to play this game forever? And you say yes, and then you have to go up to yourself and shoot yourself in the head.
Yeah.
Through your consciousness from your flesh prison.
It's a cool twist, if like a little 1980s sci-fi.
Yeah, a lot of this game is real 1980s sci-fi. And that unlocks endless mode, which lets you play.
You can play forever. One thing I've noticed, I've never seen a book, and I haven't read all the books, but I've never seen a book that's like concerned with the addictive qualities of books necessarily in the same way video games are. Like there are a lot of video games that are about being stuck forever in video games. But like short of maybe like Alice in Wonderland, I can't think of one off the top of my head that's like, if you start reading, you'll never be able to stop.
Yeah, video games like going there. And it's odd because this game, for as much as it seems to have that kind of message, once you've beaten it, there's an editing software in the game so that you can make viral social media posts about Superhot. Then the game says, now your new mission is to get other people to play Superhot. But not in like a in-universe sort of way. Like if you click on some of the links that they provide, it's just to the Superhot website to get people to buy the game. And so it blurred the line, I think, very intentionally between viral marketing for a product that they're trying to sell as many copies of as possible and critique of playing games to such a degree that they consume your life. I don't know. I found the fact that they actually used it as viral marketing baked into the game to be much more crass. Like, I don't know, if your game's message is, play with moderation and be careful of what you're playing, but then they use that as just a way to hook into a viral marketing campaign, I don't know. I feel like it undermines the critique.
So, like, there's been a lot of talk really lately about sort of experiential marketing, because that's one of, like, the big thoughts about QAnon. Mm-hmm. So, like, one of the ways QAnon was able to take off is by leveraging a lot of the tools old experiential marketers have used to create these sort of alternative reality experiences. So it's like all the stuff you would expect, right? Like you're part of this community, you have this secret knowledge, you're the hero destined to save us all. But in this case, it was a grift designed to, hook gullible conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, I mean, this has a lot of the hallmarks. Do you remember the I Love Bees viral marketing campaign?
I don't. I remember the Cloverfield ones.
Yeah, so I Love Bees, I believe, was a Halo or a Halo 2 marketing campaign, or Halo 3, one of those. Like, it started off as a weird, glitchy fan site, and then you would eventually, like, call a human, and, like, it had a whole chain of things, and it just, dumped you onto ultimately a video clip of, like, Halo 2 or something, if you solved everything. There was also, what is the name of that game? It was a Phil Fish game where it looks like it's a platformer, but actually it's a ridiculous puzzle thing. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. I'll look it up.
It kind of did get its marketing campaign off the ground off the back of this, like, don't play our addicting game. And then once everyone played it, I don't know if Superhot has enough stuff I didn't play the endless mode more than like 5 minutes, but I don't think you could play it forever, for one. I think it is a good game and a good critique of that sort of viral marketing scheme, but I don't know if it's like, it's not poker. Like, mm-hmm. It's not a slot machine. It's not a gacha or anything like that. So there are other versions of Superhot that I was looking at. There was the Mind Control Delete.
Yes.
Which is like a roguelike, which seems sinister. I have not played that one, so I could not say for sure if it is like leveraging this sort of like play us forever, tell all your friends to play us in order to like make a roguelike that they keep playing. So interested to see what people think of that one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that ultimately there's just not enough game here for the critique to work as well. It's very snappy. It's only a 2-3 hour game in most cases, I think. So, I mean, it's a cool game. It's interesting. if you're going to have your viral marketing campaign directly oppose the themes of your game and build it into the game in a way that's super obvious, that bangs everyone over the head when they finish it, I think it's just a little off-putting. It leaves you with a bad taste of what is it otherwise. Like, the moments when I was playing the game, I found very cool. Many of the moments that the game was trying to tell its kind of meta-narrative or its larger narrative, those were the moments that I liked it the least, because I didn't think that there was enough to the overarching story to really, be that compelling. The part where I was playing it was very compelling.
It's sort of a counterproductive approach to this, like, sort of buzz marketing structure, too. Like, one of the things that makes these sort of, like, real-world experiences work is that you're not really aware it's marketing at first. So, like, the theory is called the persuasion knowledge model. The idea is once we classify something as a persuasion tactic, we start to mobilize basically antibodies that we've developed for it. So, like, if you know this is an advertising piece in the game, if you know it's telling you to make these social media posts, it's no longer effective as a way to bypass your persuasion antibodies.
Yeah. Just like when someone on the street says, hey, would you like this CD? You're like, sure. But then when you realize they're going to be like, oh, I need you to pay for this CD, you're like, okay, I should never take a CD.
That was one of the things I hated the most about New York, is people would hand me things and I'd be like, fine, sure, I'll take this. I'll do you a favor. And they're like, oh, no, that's going to cost you. I'm like, then why did you hand it to me?
So you give them money.
I know, I hated it. And then they would sign it for you as if, like, great, man, a signed copy of your mixtape I didn't want. Even better.
Doing you such a favor.
Were any of them just hidden gold?
I think I only ever took one. I think the first time the person did it to me, again, persuasion knowledge model, I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, okay. And then after that, I never took another one. That one was terrible.
You actually listened to it?
Yeah, I mean, if I had it. I mean, it was in my hand. I was like, I guess I'll check it out. Back when I had, like, CD players.
That's amazing. I just wish you just grab one. It's like, this guy's amazing. This guy on the corner.
It's like, who is Kendrick Lamar?
How did he get to New York? All of his raps are about Compton, but okay. Oh, and the game I was referencing before by Phil Fish is Fez. Looks like it's a 2D platformer, and then the further into it you go, the more you realize it's actually like a ludicrous puzzle game. It looked like Braid, but then even more obtuse than Braid when you got out of it.
I thought Fez was marketed as a puzzle game.
It was, but it was marketed largely as like a 2D platforming puzzle game, and it turns out it's much more than that when you get further out. So I think with that, anything else we want to cover on Superhot?
No, I mean, I don't remember ever seeing anybody post like their own runs on Twitter or like Facebook or anything.
Yeah, the fact that we didn't get spoiled on any of this shit is wild, because this game is 5 years old now.
And popular.
And very popular. Like, people have recommended this game multiple times, probably because the game tells you to recommend it to people. But
there's probably an achievement for that somewhere.
Yeah, right. So
that should be all the achievements, honestly.
It's wild that, like, it never came up that there's some, like, weird meta-narrative to this. Except in the Discord when we were talking about how we're going to play that game. People were like, oh, there's a twist. Some people don't like the twist.
The twist is when you throw the katana, it's a one-hit kill.
It was an okay twist.
That was a great twist. Cutting the bullet was my favorite twist.
They're all one-hit kills. Everything hits once and
not
kills
punches.
People.
Punches take three punches.
It's also an elbow there, too.
It takes 3 punches.
3 punches.
Decent little bit of Muay Thai.
And then is it 3? How many hits with a steel pipe does it take? Is it 2 or 3? It wasn't 1, and I was very surprised.
I think it's 2.
I think 1 hit from a steel pipe would put me down. I think that would do the job.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially because bullets to the foot are one-hit kills.
You just bleed out instantly.
I did enjoy that when you get headshots in this game, they have sassy headshot language that pops up.
The achievement for getting a bunch of headshots is like, it's something to the effect of like, it isn't much of a bonus, but it's really cool.
It's true.
There's no reason to get headshots because everything will kill things if you shoot them in the arm or in the leg, so you don't have to do it. But if you get 100 of them, they're like, oh.
Way to go.
Yeah, it's literally called pointless but cool.
It is very cool. All right, with that, I believe, is it M? Now your turn to pick once again? Or no, you pick Project Triangle Strategy, which means it's Pete's turn to pick again.
It is my turn. Okay, I have 2 games in the pipeline, so I will give you guys an option depending on what you would rather do. Okay. So one is a sort of, it seems a light, it could be horribly graphic and dark once we start playing it, but it seems like a light, fun sort of narrative game. Or the other one is a little bit more complicated, sort of puzzler, job sim kind of deal. What are we feeling?
I am fascinated by the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been hurt so many times by visual novels and stuff like this. Like Superhot, we thought was just going to be a fun action game, and it's like, no, actually it's a dark, grim thing. You play Doki Doki Literature Club, and it's like, cool, a fun adventure game. Nope, dark, grim stuff. We've been burned too many times, but I'm always intrigued to get burned again, though we haven't done a puzzler in a while. I guess I'll go with the narrative thing. Let's see.
Okay, look, I only say that because
I want to know what the games are.
Okay.
All right. So the first game is, I just closed it thinking I would remember the name, but I'm an idiot, so I didn't. The first game is Wide Ocean Big Jacket.
It's a cool name for a game.
I have no idea what that is.
It's about a camping trip.
Okay, that's not the sequel to Cake's Short Skirt Long Jacket?
No, great song, though. Big fan of Cake. The other one is 112 Operator, which is basically the sequel to 911 Operator, but bigger and badder. And if you were real interested in that one, it is on sale until April 1st. But, I don't really care either way.
I have no idea what either of these games are, so I will take whatever you pick.
Operator. Okay, let's see what this is. So it's described as manage emergency services in any city in the world, take calls and dispatch rescue forces, handle difficult situations depending on the weather and the traffic.
Yeah, you're basically a 911 operator, but I guess 112 is global somehow.
Okay, and the other one was Short Skirt Long Jacket. Nope, that wasn't it.
It was wide something. I've looked at this name so many times, and I can't.
Wide Ocean Big Jacket.
Wide Ocean Big Jacket.
Okay, Wide Ocean Big Jacket has a look to it, and the company that makes it is called Tender Claws.
Yeah, so I'm saying it. By all signs, it seems fun, but sometimes things we think are fun turn out to be sad.
That's true. So promotional price. There's an April 1st end to this 112 Operator discount. It's normally $25. It's now about $11.
I'm saying, and I don't think I would pay $25 for this game. So.
Yeah, Wide Ocean Big Jacket is $7.99, but that's its main price.
Its base price.
I just want to throw this out there, there's a picture of promotional material for Wide Ocean Big Jacket that just says "Mean Teens."
We do love some mean teens in this house.
Who doesn't? I've watched Mean Girls enough times, but I would always watch it again.
Yeah, those teens do look mean.
I like the following picture, which just says "Moored."
Yeah, it's one of the guys' name. Say, well, let's go with the Mean Teens. We'll go Wide Ocean Big Jacket.
Okay, awesome. Developer turn follow, publisher Tender Claws. Wide Ocean Big Jacket. Okay, that's what we're playing next. Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, this is a very interesting game. More to it than a straight FPS.
Thank you, M.
Thank you. Superhot is still the most innovative shooter I've played in years.
Probably true. Yeah.
Thank you, listeners. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. You can also support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. Till next time, peace.